Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? This is your boy Isaac,
And this is your boy Bryce.
and we are brothers on tennis. And folks, we got a good one for you today. We had an idea last year, it came to fruition, and this year we decided let's take it up a notch. Let's get with our sisters that we have known throughout our journey as brothers on tennis, and we are just so happy to have them on here and to talk with them about the year 2025 in tennis. Bryce, I'm going to kick it over to you, let you do some introductions, and then we can get into this.
All right. Well, I'm just going to go in alphabetical order. Um, our first guest that we have today is Ms. Katrina Adams. She's a trailblazer in American tennis and really a powerful voice in sports leadership. She's a former tennis standout and is the first African American and youngest president in the history of the U.S. Tennis Association. Katrina has dedicated her career to expanding access, opportunity, and excellence in the game. Beyond the court, she is a respected executive, author, and advocate for diversity and inclusion, and known for her dynamic leadership and commitment to empowering the next generation. She is also currently one of the co hosts for We Need to Talk on the CBS Sports Network. And we are just so honored to have her here today. And that is Miss Katrina Adams. Welcome, Katrina.
What's up? Hello, hello, hello.
Yes.
And next, for any of you that are members of the BOT family, you know who it is. We affectionately call her our tennis godmother. And for those of you who know the story, you know the story. Zina Garrison, one of the most accomplished and respected figures in American tennis. She's a former world number 4. She has 14 WTA singles titles. You may remember in 1990, she played that Wimbledon final against Martina Navratilova. She has a bronze medal in Olympics and singles and a gold medal in Olympics and doubles with Pam Shriver. But, you know, beyond what she's done on the court, she's devoted her career to mentoring and developing young players, serving as a coach, a leader, and advocate for the growth of the game. Her legacy continues to inspire generations of athletes both on and off the court. So, with that, we welcome our tennis godmother, Zina Garrison. And then, last but absolutely not least, you know who she is. Chanda Rubin, one of the most talented and resilient players from her generation. I mean, she is a former world number 6, and she captured 4 WTA singles titles. She's known for her all court, very powerful game. I remember those ground strokes. And, you know, known for, you know, coming back, those from injuries. And she may have the single greatest comeback match in the history of tennis. And if you know, you know. But anyway, you know, she's represented the United States on the international stage, and she continues to impact the sports world as a respected tennis analyst and commentator, sharing her insight and passion for the game with fans around the world. So, once again, you know who it is. Chanda Rubin, thank you so much for being here. All right.
I tell you what, ladies, I it warms my heart to see this, and I cannot thank you all enough for what you've done again with us as brothers on tennis and just in general. You talk about black excellence, that's the three of y'all. Please know that y'all are black
Don't make
excellence.
us blush. Don't make us
Oh,
blush.
okay, okay, I won't. All right. So with that said.
Look, we call Cat
Katrina says
Hollywood.
yes.
You say
So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. We had a lot going on in 2025. You know, it's always good to think about things that, to remember. So we had some retirements. Of course, we had some folks to leave the game. We had Schwartzman and Garcia, Petra Kvitova, who came back after having a child, and you know her story. And we've had a lot of just a lot of things happen as it relates to those retirements. Been a lot of news, of course, as well. Might as well jump into this one as well. The fact that Mr. Carlitos Alcaraz has decided that he and Juan Carlos Ferrero no longer are a match and decided, hey, I'm gonna do something different in 2026. Ladies, I'm just throwing a lot out there, but Katrina, since we were joking initially about the Carlitos news, I'm gonna throw it over to you. I'd like to get your thoughts on not only his change up, but just in general, the overall change that has occurred with those retirements that were mentioned.
Joking. I mean, what? Because I said Carlito called me to offer me a job. I mean, what are you talking about? Joking. Um, yeah, listen, all good things come to an end. And, when you spend basically your entire life with a coach that is taking you to the height of the game, like JC Juan Carlos has taken Carlos Alcaraz. Everyone says, wow, how can you end? How can this stop? You never know what's going on behind the scenes. And these guys are like brothers, they're like father, son, they're like uncle, nephew. They're the best of friends. And Carlos was a boy. He was a young man, and now he's a man. And he's ready to make his own decisions and moving to the next level of his life. And Juan Carlos was that player. He's been around the world 50,000 times probably. And I don't know what has happened and what has transpired, but maybe for JC, he's like in his own way, he said, hey, he didn't ask for this, but maybe he's tired as well from doing this week in and week out. But every player has to go his own way and make his or her own decision. So it'll be very interesting to see what direction Carlito goes and who he goes with. Um, this is arguably one of the most talented players that is out there. I saw him play here just a week or two ago at the Prudential Center in an exhibition playing against Francis Tiafo. And these two cats, I mean, just the shot making that's out there, whoever he ends up with is just going to be fine tuning what he already has, a talent that is innate. So the changes that are being made on the tour on both the men and women's game, I think 2026 is just going to be exciting all around.
Now, I
Agree,
have to
agree.
say, I thought 2025, I thought we were settled. I thought we were ready to get to 2026. No, no more bumps or, you know, speed bumps in the road. And then we get this news. And it shocked me, I have to say. And of course, to your point, Katrina, I mean, sometimes you just need a different voice. Sometimes you feel like you just need to shift the path a little bit. And being in the rarefied air that Carlos Alcaraz is in, Yannick Sinner right now as well. I mean, only they know. We will never know all the ins and outs. I mean, on paper, it looks like you should stay with them forever, but it just doesn't work that way when you are trying to find whatever you need to get that extra edge, to get to the next step, the next level, win that major that you haven't won. In Alcaraz's case, that's coming up at the Australian Open. And so there's a lot that goes into these decisions, and the off season is the time to make it. But it's tough to imagine where he's going to go, who that next voice is going to be consistently as part of his team. I mean, we know he has a big team. He has plenty of support. So doesn't sound like it's a complete upheaval in terms of his entire team, but it's hard to imagine, where do you go from number one in the world, having won 6 majors with somebody, almost double digits in terms of, 1,000 titles, and the list goes on in terms of what these two have accomplished together. But for Carlos Alcaraz, you have to see and understand that he is so ambitious and he wants more and more. And that's what I see behind this decision in terms of him trying to make these decisions that can get him to that next level. So it'll be interesting to see. But I mean, 2026, we got some things we need to check out, and we got some things to look forward to.
How about you,
Well,
Zena?
well, it's interesting to me. Actually, I was not surprised, and I don't know why, but I think more than anything, what is he, 21 or 20 or something? And that's normally the age when you start wanting a little bit of independence from all the people that have been around you for so long. Been there, done that, totally understand that. And and on top of the way the world is today with all of, the hype, and he's meeting all these celebrities, and he's a celebrity and he's making all this money, and, who knows, all the people coming after him, and and then you have someone that's been number one, that's been your coach, that has molded you in this position, and they understand the good and the bad with that, but you want to check it out a little bit too as well. So I just think it's pretty much just he's the reason why I wasn't surprised at all is he's probably at that age. And I watched his documentary, and I was actually said to myself, like, it's gonna the next couple of years is going to be interesting with him, because he said a couple of things in the documentary, like he wants to kind of be free a little. So it's going to be interesting. He's a creative person on the court, which means he's probably a creative person off the court as well. He wants to try a lot of different things. Great talent. I'm looking forward to, but as Chanda and Katrina both said, 2026 is going to be on.
On and popping, right? On and
Hey,
popping.
hey, I know this guy named Rafael Nadal that might be free.
Right in his backyard.
Said that because I was wondering if Alcaraz was going to kind of stay in that Nadal path, and is Carlos Moya going to end up being his next coach? I mean, that's what I'm really interested in, is who's the next one, not only for Alcaraz, but for one Carlos. And me being selfish, and I know I don't control anything here, but if I was Coco Golf right now, I would be running to the ATM, taking out whatever money I needed to take out, and calling Juan Carlos Ferrero to come to the camp.
I mean, this is the interesting part about this sport, because when you get a guy like Ferrero, who clearly has so much experience as a player and then now as a coach, and he just seems to have a good way about him, the vibe that he kind of exudes. That would be something coveted. So I think it's going to be up to him at this point how much he wants to travel, because that was one of the things with Carlos Alcaraz. He sometimes didn't travel. He has his family. He's got the academy at home. So that's going to be the real question. But I mean, he is going to be a guy floating out there that somebody is definitely going to grab up, I think, or look to grab up pretty early in the season.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Comments all around spot on. I love that documentary comment that you mentioned, Zena, because again, I watched that as well, and I do think that it's personality. Because Juan Carlos is a great coach, but he's a very strict coach. Remember, he was with Zverev for that little time,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Yo, Zverev was showing up late for practices," and he was like, "No, we're not doing that." And so I just think that he's got that discipline level, and Carlos is like, I just kind of want to do me for a little bit. He's at that age, so I honestly believe that that played a lot into it as well. But in any case, going on to the next topic that we were kind of going to float into, I'm interested in hearing what you ladies are thinking about as it relates to Novak Djokovic. I mean, he's out there, he's playing great ball. It's the new two. It's the new two that seemed to be his kryptonite at this point, which is funny because it was the old two, i.e., Roger Federer and Nadal, that he was trying to break into in order to get to that level of dominance and greatness that he has achieved. And now at this point, you've got Sinner and Alcaraz in his way. I want to know from you all, what are your thoughts on what Novak Djokovic will be able to deliver and or achieve in 2026? And Zena, I'm going to start with you.
Why? Because I'm sitting here looking like Father Time is going to catch up. It's just, and it is, and it's nothing against him. I think he's done all that he can do. I mean, but the way that those two young men now, Sinner and Alcaraz, are hitting the balls, and the rest of it, it's just, it's tough. And the biggest thing, these two young chickies right there, they're still young. The biggest thing is once you start hitting that stage where it's hard every other day to wake up, and something else niggly is hurting, and it just gets tougher and tougher, and it really isn't have, to me, anything to do with their game. It's just the mental part plays such a, you know you just have too many things that you remember about. I felt like this in a match before, and all these things start coming in. All the mental things start coming in. It just becomes too much. I think he's gonna just, if he's lucky, make a couple of quarters, you know, semis, but I don't see him winning another Grand Slam.
And I think, Novak Djokovic, I mean, the way that he thinks and the way that he sees the game and his game, I mean, I don't know that we'll ever quite understand it. I mean, this is a guy who was incredible in the way he put himself in the mix with Federer and
Yeah.
Nadal. And, you had Andy Murray there on the wings, but he forced his way into that conversation. And now you look at him and he's sitting at the top of it, in terms of the numbers, just the numbers themselves. And at this stage, is he going to be able to go into a major 3 out of 5 sets and beat Carlos Alcaraz and then potentially have to beat Yannick Sinner or vice versa? It seems unlikely. You can't necessarily count him out. I mean, he's still very much in the mix, and he is one of those guys that you still consider as one of the potential disruptors of the new two. But that's a tough ask at the stage he is at in his career. But with that being said, there are still so many things that he seems to want to accomplish. And that's what is pretty phenomenal to me with everything he's already done. I mean, last year he didn't win a major, but he was able to win the Olympics. That was a huge goal for him. This year you look at how he ended the year, got another title in the event that is his home event now. That arguably was one of the things he was coveting, and he was able to do it. He was able to get it done. So I
But
just
it's
think
not 2 weeks, Chanda. It's not
true,
2 weeks.
true. And I'm just talking strictly about what he's able
Yeah.
to do in spite of maybe, his age and the physical part and all that. So it's more along those lines. I think it's unlikely in terms of being able to do it at a major with these two guys. But does he know that?
No, he doesn't. He
Probably
does
not.
not
That
know
would be
that.
my
He does not know
question.
that.
Do
No, he
we
doesn't
know
know
that?
that.
Does he know that?
No, no. I mean, he's probably the strongest mentally that we know and that we've seen over the years. But and again, when he puts his mind to something, he's able to accomplish it. And I think the Olympics was one of those where we saw it, that he really willed his way mentally to physically where he could accomplish it, and he got it done. But 7 matches, he can't do it. We saw him go deep in those tournaments last year. We're going into another year and he's a year older. And physically, I don't see him going deep over 4 tournaments or any of the 4 tournaments to be able to come out the victor at the end.
He got to get to each tournament. That's the other thing. You got to practice. You got to do all that. And you got to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the question. How much of a schedule would he play around those events? And
Right.
to actually be ready to play. And you get a bit older, you kind of have to do more to just try to stay even or not lose too much ground. I mean, it's tough from that standpoint physically. So, like I said, I mean, it seems very unlikely. And I just wonder how much he's going to play next season.
Yeah, don't get
What
me
is he
wrong.
going to focus? What's he going to strategically focus on?
Yeah, and listen, we all respect him and give him praise for what he has accomplished in his career and what he can do, because he can go out there and battle with the best of them. But can he battle with the best of them for 7 matches over 2 weeks and prepare
Yeah.
in the way that he needs to do leading up to those majors? We just don't see that happening.
Right. And when you look at Novak, think about it. Last year, he made it to 4 semifinals. So what other player did that outside of, the Alcaraz Center situation? So he's still at the very top of the game, but it is an additional hurdle to start talking about winning it when you potentially have to go through both Alcaraz and Sinner to win the tournament. I agree. I think maybe Zina is the one who said it. I think he'll continue to go deep, quarterfinals, maybe semis, but to actually win one of the majors next year, that's going to be a tough ask.
Well, look how long, You just said four semis, and I'm like, what? Like, it didn't even register with me because you think about Alcaraz and Sinner and how tough it probably was for him to get there, and then knowing that you gotta mentally try to get over that hurdle to, and if you beat one of them to get there, then you might be so sore the next day that you can't even, the next
Right.
couple of days. So it's just gonna get tougher and tougher, but I just think tennis right now, men and women, it's very strong. It's very strong, and it's becoming more and more mentally tough, in my opinion, because there's so many other things outside of not what's on the court, but what's around the game. It's just way more. I mean, this year at the Open, having a chance to be around, I was with Clavier a little bit, and just to see all this other stuff that they have going around, I'm like, I wouldn't have never been able to play with, oh, you got to do this appearance over here, you got to do this over there, this and that. And then they don't even understand how much energy that's sucking out of them just to get on the court. Then you get there and you have your coach asking you to practice and asking you to get up on a serve, and you're like, but I am getting up on a serve. No, you're not. Because you're tired. So it's just interesting. All the stuff that they have to do now is just unbelievable.
Absolutely. And that's a great, great lead into the next topic here, Zina, which is really just around the tour as a whole, the schedule, number of mandatory events. We and we talked about this before we started recording. Even Bryce and I, after, 5+ years of doing Brothers on Tennis, after the US Open this year, we were like, yo, we're tired. And we actually had to kind of take a little step back and took a month off. But you think about the players, you think about the scheduling. I mean, ladies, you all have been in the game. I mean, again, Katrina, you've been the president of the USTA. So what are your thoughts as we are continuing to move forward related to the schedule, related to, again, ATP, WTA, ITF, tournaments? We got all these different bodies that are all scrambling and fighting for time, which tends to, elongate, unfortunately, the tennis schedule. So, Chanda, I'm going to start with you on that one. What are your thoughts on it? I mean, do you think it's still a problem? Is it something that we're working towards, that you've seen in the background? Just interested in your thoughts.
I see it as more of a problem in terms of just how long the schedule is and how many big events that are on the schedule in a condensed period of time. And, every event kind of wants to be a major now,
Yeah.
especially these 1,000 events. They want to be majors. I mean, to be a 10, 12-day event, that's 2 weeks, no matter how you look at it. A couple of days shy of it, that is 2 weeks out of the schedule. And I think, you hear the narrative that, look, players don't have to play all of them. They can accept a 0 point, which is what they would have to accept because they can't make up that tournament somewhere else, but they can do it. They will probably have to start doing it. They will have to look at how to plan their schedules and plan their years where they can peak for the main events, because you cannot play your best tennis week in and week out. It's impossible. Not to mention the physical toll, and you just need breaks. You need downtime. You need practice weeks where there isn't so much of, the stress of a tournament. It's a different kind of stress playing tournaments versus even exhibitions. Exhibitions at the end of the season, yes, that adds to it, but it's a very different proposition for players. And I think that's the part that we are going to see have more of an effect. And maybe there may need to be some adjustments made, but I just don't see the current format with how it's intended to work. I don't see it working that way, where every player is going to play every mandatory event and you're going to have this great, season of tennis where everybody's competing against everybody. It's just not going to happen. We're going to see more injuries as we are already seeing. And I think that's the part that's concerning is, player health and player longevity.
Katrina, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, Chan has said it pretty well. I mean, it's not much more that can be said. I think we played in an era where we played an average of tournaments. So, you played the majors, then you played maybe 12 other tournaments, max. You've got to pick and choose the schedule that's best for you, and you have to have your downtime and your training period. So the more tournaments that you're playing, the more rigorous schedule that you're playing that are mandatory, you're putting more pressure on yourself, not only physically, but mentally, because there's more pressure on you to do well in those tournaments. And and that takes a toll on you over time. And when there's no downtime, that you're more prone to get injured, no matter how hard you're training. So they're going to have another deep look at the tour schedules for both the men's tour and the women's tour, and they're going to constantly be tweaking this.
Well, they both were right on it, but this is the thing that keeps coming up. And how do you get rest when your teams keep getting bigger and the people around you keep getting bigger and you have nowhere to escape to? I mean, it's like everywhere you turn, like they're making more money, so then they have more people that are traveling with them. They got a team and everything. And who do you go to just be a young person, or just be yourself or whatever, because everybody that's around you is there because there's a stake in you somewhere, whether you're buying their stake or they just got a stake of you being a friend or your fame or whatever. It's like, who do they go to? I mean, and the bigger the teams get, the more, because I kept hearing when I was at the Open, I kept hearing a couple of players keep saying, "Oh, I'm like tired. Oh, I'm mentally tired." You're mentally tired. You got 50 million people around you. You don't have time to just relax. Or you just finished playing a match and then you got to go over here and you got some party that you're putting on for some brand. It's like so much going on. Like literally so much just to go from one court to the next court. Now people really know who you are. It might have took us back in our day a minute for somebody to say, "Oh, there's Zina walked by. Oh, Chanda or Katrina walked by." Now people feel like they really know you because they're looking at you every day because your life is out there. So where do you go? Who do you talk to?
Good point.
I mean, I think the teams are so important now. And, we're seeing players with some having massive teams, somebody for every single role, plus somebody just to be their friend. Yeah, you have a friend part of the team.
That one, Chanda,
I,
I'm not ready for, but
I mean,
that's true.
it's
Yeah.
what we're seeing. It's a different world, and they are being hit. Players are being hit from every direction, and it's great in terms of the opportunity, obviously the money that has become massive. And a lot of this is because of it, because of the TV deals and these rights situations where every one of these tournaments are huge and they have their own deals associated with it. And players can, make an exponential amount of money. But at some point, something's going to have to give. And especially when you look at the top players where money is not an issue, now all of a sudden you have to do what is best for you and your career and your peace of mind and your mental stability and all of those things over the course of the year. And we are already hearing and seeing players have to take that seriously, and that's men and women.
Yeah.
Hear players talking about, just not feeling great or mentally being in a bad place or having to, go and figure some things out and deal with it. It is going to get worse, I think, even before it gets better with the schedule and with the pressures that players are under. It's great for tennis, I think, overall. But what about the product, which the product are people? These are humans that cannot, it's not unlimited. The amount of mental capacity they have, the amount of energy, being able to travel week in and week out all across the globe. It's not unlimited what they can bring to the court and still play the kind of tennis as fans we want to see and we love seeing. So, and that they want to play. And so I think that's the part that is going to need to be looked at very seriously, where players' health does not become negatively impacted any more than it needs to.
And I tell you what, one of the funny things, and I know Katrina before the show kind of was joking with us, when you have people like us who are either social media people or just your regular fans, when they start to get tired of the tennis season, it's like I can't even imagine what it would be like for a player, who's actually on the tour. I mean, what Isaac and I say all the time is we wish sometimes that the tennis tours would give us time to miss it. Like I want like football. You go through that period where there's no football and you're like, I can't wait for football season to start back up. You just never really get that chance with tennis.
You don't.
Right now you do. You get about 2 more weeks.
Yeah,
You
two
got 10
weeks,
minutes.
exactly.
I
2 weeks.
was like 2 seconds,
You got 10
Katrina.
minutes.
You got about 2 more weeks.
I looked at my television the other morning and it said WTA tour. I was like, oh, are we already back and start watching tennis again? No, I'm not ready yet.
Exactly. Well, you know what?
It's
So
it's
let's do
real.
this. Let's look and rewind a little bit in the year, and let's talk about the majors from last year. And what I want to do is let's talk about them by tour, and we're going to start with the men's tour because I think it's a little more straightforward on that side. In 2025,
Alcaraz and Sinner.
right, it was the second year in a row that they split the majors. Now, I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised that Sinner won Wimbledon. I didn't necessarily see that one coming, but I also think that motivated Alcaraz at the U.S. Open because I think he definitely wanted to walk away with a split. Katrina, let's start with you. What were your thoughts on the Alcaraz Sinner show at the majors this year?
Well, I mean, I think it was, in my opinion, it was expected pretty much. I would have loved to see a little more variety, but you had the two best players that were showing up tournament in and tournament out. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, with let's see, we started off with Center in Australia. So, hell of a match with Center winning that one. We had the marathon match with Alcaraz coming back 2 sets down and 3 match points in Paris. With an unbelievable match there. You throw in the Olympics, I guess. Was that in between Wimbledon or was that after Wimbledon?
That
Um,
was the year before.
Oh, that was the year before? Well, okay,
Yeah.
it's all good. But and then, at Wimbledon, I always I think in that moment in for Alcaraz when he was kind of had the momentum going and kind of looked up at the crowd and started laughing with the crowd and lost that momentum right there, lost his focus. And that's when and I'm sitting there going, what is he doing? And then Center just flipped and before you knew it, the match was over.
Yep.
Center got that one. So um, I had my taped my show tonight for We Need to Talk on CBS Sports Network, and they one of the topics was what was our gift or what will we gift for 2026. So my gift was to see Ben Shelton break into the top four for next year. He got to number 5 this year. That he got that ranking, I think, early November. But he missed, got injured in at the U.S. Open. But I think he's someone that can actually get there. He's got the game, and but it's going to be hard to get past Sinner and or Alcaraz for someone like him. But he's got that game, and it's just a matter of penetrating one or two of them. But I think if he can just get one win over them, anybody get the one win over them, it'll kind of, you know, get them that confidence and break that armor. But it was a hell of a year for those two guys, and everybody else is just kind of playing, for third place, if you will.
Yeah. I do think Katrina's right on it. Someone like Ben that can do a little bit of everything. Absolutely love the way that his dad is bringing him along. It might seem really weird to other people because I hear a lot of times people say, "Oh, they're holding his serve back. Why isn't he doing this and this?" You know, a lot of that. Had a chance to talk to Brian about that, and it's interesting. He's bringing him along that he matures in the right way, and I think that's just happening. It's just getting Ben to tame down a little bit. And what I mean by tame down a little bit, you have so many shots, you don't exactly know what to do, when to do it. And I think, like Katrina just said, if he gets one win, that confidence would come. I thought that he had a great shot at the Open, and that fall, just a lot. So then you having to come back from there. But I think that I always felt that he has something special, and I feel like he is the one when he just brings it all together. And the great thing about having an opportunity to hit so many different shots, once you only need one good tournament where everything comes together. You just need one because you can hit some unbelievable shots at unbelievable times, and he's that type of player. And from the women's side, I just absolutely love saying this all the time. Leave my Coco alone. Please leave my Coco alone. Coco's fine. I always have debates with people all the time. It's like, what did you do at her age? Like, she's already done so much at the age, and people have a tendency to forget. Venus and Serena did a lot of great things at a young age. She actually is coming along, and Serena didn't really make that big jump to what she was the late 20s. So when she started winning everything, it was a commitment. So, Venus had her run, of course, but I'm just saying she is where she is, and it's a lot of people. I know all of us would love to be sitting here holding two Grand Slam tournaments, singles. So I think that she's maturing at a great rate. It's going to be interesting. Sabalenka for me. I love the way she matured last year, just as with her game, not her off court, but with her game. She started coming in a lot more, but she made it interesting. She made it very interesting for the people outside of the sport. They start paying attention, and then having Iga, I just think is going to be interesting. I still somehow don't know how she wins, but she does. But she's very determined, and I'm saying that in a good way, because I always say people like to complain about Coco strokes and whatever. And I'm like, hey, you look at Egas. Like, I mean, they're not like the best ground strokes or forehands or whatever. So the thing that we all love about tennis is up and down. We don't know what the heck's going to happen in 2026. We don't know who's going to be there in the end. There are going to be people that are going to be close, but one thing we do know is going to be interesting.
So I will circle back to the men initially, and finish that out because I thought you guys had some great points about Alcaraz and Sinner. And for me, the fact that we've been looking at these two ascending to the top of the game, kind of picking up where Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, who's obviously still out there, but picking up where they left off. And it just seems pretty unbelievable to me that it's happened so quickly, that we have a couple of guys at the top of the game who are so dominant and physically seem like they are a class above the field, but also in terms of how put together their games are. And that for me is what has stood out in 2025. And remember with Sinner, he missed 3 months of the season, did not play, came back.
About that.
It is easy to forget because he picked up right where he left off, and it didn't seem like he was gone. But to come right back to that level and play the kind of tennis he did, obviously the Roland Garros final on the heels of Rome, and then to come back and win Wimbledon. I mean, there were several moments there where things shifted dramatically for him, and he has just seemed to take it in stride. And I don't know, it's a combination, I think, of what he brings to the table mentally, but also how he's been able to improve his game and to remain so committed to improving, even being at the top. He's the bar in terms of that center. And then you've got Alcaraz, who is just kind of like a freak of nature in a way. The way he can play in these different areas of the court and does it so instinctively. I mean, for some players, it takes years to learn to be so comfortable moving forward when you are so comfortable from the back of the court and vice versa. And he just seems to put it together so beautifully and so quickly and so easily. And so we give him grace when he hits these crazy shots because why not? I mean, there's a higher probability he could make it. So
if anybody, he gonna make it.
if anyone can, he can do it. So it's an incredible kind of juxtaposition for me in terms of the styles that they bring to the game. Even though mentally they are right there, nip and tuck, it's in a different way. And that's part of what was so compelling about what they brought to the game in 2025. I mean, everybody is on the edge of their seats when they are meeting in these matches and meeting in these finals, and you just know it's going to be a great match. That is not something we should take for granted. I certainly didn't throughout the course of the season. And I mean, how can they top it? I don't know, but I'm here strapping in for the ride.
Isaac, thoughts?
No, I mean, spot on. I mean, it was amazing. All of their matches, when I think about Sinner and Alcaraz, they are just it's must see TV. I mean, that Roland Garros final was ridiculous. It's honestly one of my favorite matches. Just in general. The fight back, the fact that again, Sinner, who hadn't proven himself on clay, and somehow or another he is beating, I mean, just he was beating up on Carlitos for a good bit of that match, and he really should have won that match. But Carlitos was like, "Yo, I'm Carlitos, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make it happen." And he pulled it out in that fifth set. That final set tiebreaker was bonkers. It was so ridiculous. That was the Carlos Alcaraz that you're just like, wow, that's that extra gear that everybody talks about. He went up on center 7-0 like it was nothing. He was just like, yep, I'm gonna hit this winner, I'm gonna hit that winner. Anyway, I could talk about that match for days. I won't do that. But again, ladies, you are spot on as far as those two go. And for me, I 100% agree with what you said, Katrina. I think Ben is that element. He is that player that can potentially infiltrate. I don't know that I see it for 2026, but I definitely see it happening because Ben's got some game. And he's just trying to pull together plan A, plan B, plan C. Once he gets all his game styles together, they better watch out for Ben. Ben is going to be like, yo, I'm here, y'all. Get
I,
Right.
ready.
Isaac, this is what always amazes me by tennis fans. Why does it have to wait? He's not there yet. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. With all of
Yeah,
his strokes, it can come together at any moment. And it's
I
probably
agree.
going to come together when we least expect it,
Right.
because that's the great thing about tennis. But I love debating fans when they're saying, well, they got about another year or two. And I'm like, all of us know you have to take advantage of when you're on the court. We don't know what might happen. So
Yeah.
we're hoping that it's next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's
Yeah.
because, he's still so young and we talk
Yeah,
about him kind of figuring out the plan A versus having to be in a C game when you aren't playing your best. And like there's such a huge upside. So it's easy to say, oh, he's not there yet because the upside's so big and he hasn't really maxed out, or what a lot of fans feel like he hasn't come close to maxing out. So I mean that's the exciting part of it. But yeah, he's not there yet until he is. And until he has a week like he did in Canada, where he comes
Yeah.
up and he puts it all
Right.
together and he just
Right.
rides it out to the title. So I think, there's so much to look forward to next year if he can stay healthy.
yeah,
That's the one part that, going into the US Open, being looked at as one of the favorites, to kind of have that stop him was so disappointing. I'm sure for him more so than for anybody else, but certainly for those of us who are fans of his, to see him physically not be able to post up. So hopefully he can stay healthy and the sky's the limit if that's the case.
And
Right.
know where the court is. He's on the court. When he starts running, he ends up in the stands. I'm like, what are you doing? Literally, know the court. Know where you are on the court. But that's
Right.
the hustle we love about him, though.
Right. Well, and in contrast, on the women's side, we had four different winners. Now, one of the things that we say all the time on Brothers on Tennis is we feel like all the big titles are going to go to one of four players: Iga, Coco, Sabalenka, or Rybakina. But the year started off with Madison Keys getting finally the job done, getting a major underneath her belt. Now, the other three went to members of that group of four, and Rybakina did pull it together for the year-end championships. Talk to us. What do you think about the women's tour? Let's start it off with Zina. Since you kind of went into the women's a little bit, what are you thinking about the women's tour and maybe some of the diversity we have there?
Well, first of all, I got to say, I was excited that Madison finally won, but it's so funny because I cannot get out of my head why I felt that she won that match because her coach husband was sitting literally on the court. I think if he would have been a little bit high up, I just don't think she would have won because we've seen her lose some other matches where he's just a little bit, the coach is a little bit higher up, but there she had absolutely nowhere to run and she had somebody in her ear 24/7. Being at the Australian Open and the way they placed those coaches on the court helped her. Now, it's just, the other ones, Coco, that was great with the French Open, Sabalenka, US Open, and who am I missing?
Iga with Wimbledon.
Iga, that was totally a shock. Right? But, it was a good one. And then, and I think the one for me, though, the biggest one probably was the year-end championship with Rybakina, for more than one reason. Just seemed like she had something to prove to everybody else and herself. And then she showed it when she didn't take the picture. So I think she was going through her own struggles, but, it was to me, some still some maturity that needs to understand. Sometimes you have to understand that people are actually protecting you rather than against you. And so that was kind of that how I felt about that moment. But overall, I think the women's tour, it was exciting to have four different winners, and then for her to win the fifth Grand Slam, I think it kept it exciting.
Katrina.
And it's like looking like Zina.
No, I was gonna hop in, but
Oh, go ahead.
I thought
Go
Katrina,
ahead.
had something.
No, go
But
ahead, Chanda.
I mean, I have to say, like, to start the year with Madison winning the Australian Open, and I was there. I was, working for Tennis Australia, and got a chance to sit with her at the desk after her match, and literally each match, watching how well she was playing. And I remember talking to Lindsay, and we were having some kind of little text back and forth conversation, and I was like, I don't know, Lindsay. Madison, she's there. And so we were just kind of joking around about it. And at the end of the week, at the end of the second week of the tournament, to see how she evolved each match. And those last two matches were monsters for her to get through. Hands down, just so impressive. We always knew she had the weapons. She's always been one of those players that is dangerous to anyone. But to see it happen in real time on that kind of big stage, at this stage of her career, and with a lot of a lot of the struggles she's had, both with injuries and even I think mentally, and with her belief, to see her put it together, for me, that was like a highlight. And I never have a huge vested interest in who wins. I mean, I'm paid to be unbiased, and mostly I am.
We won't
but,
tell.
but normally I still don't get like totally involved to the point where, I'm on the edge of my seat with that run. And especially that second week, I kind of was like, oh my gosh, okay, what's next? Let's see today. And I was so excited each match just to see how well she was playing and competing. You talk about some of the changes she made. That took a lot of guts and a lot of commitment. The story with her and her husband and how they began working together on the heels of them getting married. And like, it was just an incredible story for her to finally break through. And she said it at the end, I finally accepted I didn't have to win a major, and my career was still, I was still happy with it. I was still good with who I was as a player. And that kind of seemed to release a lot of pressure. So that was a highlight for me. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen the rest of 2025? And we still had some great storylines, right? With Coco winning at Roland Garros. That was such a huge goal of hers. And, Roland Garros just having that special place in her heart and the way she was able to do it. I mean, that match with Sabalenka was crazy. That was crazy. But it was Coco Gauff at her finest, finding a way, digging in the big moments. And that's her biggest weapon, regardless of what you say about her game and what you say about the X's and O's. It's that part that makes her a champion. But then you got Iga coming up at Wimbledon, the last place, the last surface. We would have expected her to relax and just swing away, and yet that's what she did, but she's a champion. And that's what champions do. And that was an amazing story. And then to end the year with Sabalenka, who came up short just every single major, either the finals or, as in, Wimbledon, the semifinal, losing those matches, those tough matches, for her to win that last major, having been number one the entire season. That was kind of like a storybook ending. You couldn't have really scripted it any better. So even though we talk about the women and it was nowhere near as predictable, it was kind of cool the way it went down. And I, for one, I was happy to see Elena Rybakina find her tennis again, because she is such a fantastic player to add to the mix with her skill set. So for her to win, the last tournament of the year, the biggest, tour level tournament of the year, on the heels of everything she went through this year and even last year with injuries and physical issues, I thought that was a fantastic story as well.
Everything's been said.
But not everybody said it.
But not everybody said it. That was
we got you. We got you not saying nothing.
Huh?
We got you not saying nothing. Wait a minute.
I mean, look, I can say everything a little bit different. Maddie played unbelievable. It was the first time I actually saw her put some shape on the ball. She had some top spin on the forehand. Okay. She had me up in the middle of the night. I was setting my alarm to watch her play. So that was exciting to see her win her first major. Second one, Coco obviously running down every ball, playing great defense to win that. So we got the two Americans in a row. Absolutely exciting. The third one, to see Amanda, after what she's gone through.
There you go, Kat.
That's a great story.
Nobody said that.
To get to her first, here we go, haha, to come back and to get to her first major, and to give the most amazing speech, and losing gracefully, and showing people how to give a speech after losing, Arena. That's how you do it. And what a way to show up for your first major. Arena did not want to see an American on the other side of the net. Australia, Paris, and Wimbledon, right? She lost to 3 Americans in a row. Okay, so she got revenge at the US Open. And then to see Amanda get back to the finals of the US Open, to play as well as she did, to get to 2 majors back to back of the Open, of the year, and then for Arena to win that, it was a great year for women's tennis. So I said a little bit differently, but it was a great year. And I mean, who knows what 26 is going to bring us. So I'm excited about 2026.
Spot on. Great comments. Because one of the things, Katrina, as far as Amanda Anisimova goes, I've already sort of predicted don't be surprised if Amanda Anisimova is not the number one ranked female in at the end of 2026. I feel like she played some outstanding tennis. The fact that you get double bageled at Wimbledon and then you come back at the US Open, you take down the person that gave you that double bagel and you make it to the final. Amanda Anisimova is playing some good ball right now. Don't get it twisted. I'm really
Oh yeah.
impressed with her.
Normally, I
Um,
would twist you up with saying that, but with them ground strokes, I am by far not twisting you because she is going to twist some people up. Beautiful ground strokes, and like I love watching her. She reminds me of Lindsay.
Lindsay, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, the strokes are just
Crisp.
so long and beautiful, and the contact point is outrageous. Just absolutely outrageous. Absolutely. She can do whatever she needs to do with the ball. Just beautiful contact point.
Well, and one of the things she also improved was her movement. And we
Yes.
don't,
Yes.
talk about that as much. That's not maybe, a strength of her game, but she was able to get into such good position more often because she was getting behind these shots a little bit better. And that part, I mean, sitting courtside at the US Open for that final, even though she lost it, there were moments where you could see if she can continue to put things together and mentally, emotionally, really keep herself in a good place. I mean, she's going to be dangerous this coming season.
agree.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, ladies, couple tour discussions that we noted. What's the thoughts around the returning moms on the tour? Bencic, Svitolina, you got Osaka, you got Taylor Townsend, who got up to number one in doubles. Crazy. Love to hear your thoughts on the moms.
Well, we're gonna
Chanda,
let
Chanda.
Chanda
yeah.
have that one because me and Katrina don't have we
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
saying
didn't come
Chanda.
back and
Chanda.
play either. So it's I mean, it's incredible. And not only that, but how quickly some of them have come back. I mean, you look at Bencic and didn't seem to miss a beat. Svitolina initially, when she made her comeback, it's been phenomenal. And I love seeing the fact that even though these women have had babies, have begun, the journey in terms of their families, they can still continue to go for the goals that they have personally and individually. And if you think about a couple of decades ago, that wasn't such an embraced idea. It was that your career was over if you got pregnant and you wanted to start a family, you couldn't because you had to focus on your career first and foremost. And so I love everything that shows, but first and foremost for these players to come back and to be able to play again at a high level, to be able to win titles, to be able to put themselves in contention. I mean, they aren't limited. And when you show uh, that to the rest of the field, I think that improves everyone and improves the game, women's tennis, because these are women that are like superstars, and now we're seeing the super moms that
Mhm.
are coming out. And shout out to Lindsay Davenport, who, when I was playing, she had her first child and came back and played and won tournaments. But Kim Clijsters was probably the biggest example of a player who came back and won a major. Actually had a better second part of her career after becoming a mom in some ways, on paper. So I love everything that represents. And I'm just so happy for them individually to come back. And in the case of Taylor Townsend, as an example, to achieve her highest results after becoming a mom when a lot of people probably doubted her. I think that part is just phenomenal. The stories just keep coming, and that's been a huge part of this past season.
Was it Von Guligan the first to come?
Yes, as a mom.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I just love the fact that all these new rules are being put in place for, like you said, for them to be able to have a chance to come back. And it
Well,
is
and
great.
Zina, I think what Margaret Court as well, right? I'm trying to think of some of the most well known that came back. I don't remember what she did after
Yeah.
having kids, but yeah, I mean there have been some great examples, but it's a different mindset now. But not to cut you off.
No, it's all good. And but I think it's just and more, and I notice also from the flip side of that, with the men, they're starting to talk about their families too. And I actually like that as well, because we shouldn't forget they have a different part. I'm not by any means trying to debate one way or the other, but I like the fact that now tennis is being shown as a whole family situation, because it really do take a team.
Absolutely. All right. Anything additional, ladies, on that one? All right. Bryce, you want to jump down to the panel discussion?
Yeah, but I am interested in that last question. This year has been such a strong year for the American women.
Yes.
And we ended with half of the top 8 Americans: Coco Gauff, Anisimova, Pagula, and Keys. Since you all are from the women of American tennis players, it's like, what do you, I mean, I don't know if this gets enough conversation about, maybe we don't have someone who's in the 1 or 2 spot, but to have half of the top 8, I think that's pretty strong.
Well, coming from an era that there were many of us at the top at that particular time, and then coming through an era where I was, Fed Cup captain and all that, and we hardly had anybody in the top 100, I'm excited because to have that many players in the top 10, somebody's going to break through, like majorly break through on a consistent basis, because it's a natural thing that you are naturally competitive with each other, and especially if you know the other person very well. So yeah, I think it's a great time right now for American tennis, just still on the up and up, and hopefully all of them will push each other. The women can push the men, and the men can push the women as well. But I think that we're right there. We're just right there. But we got very spoiled for a very long time, and then we woke up. We got very humbled very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
I mean, I think it's kind of, in America, in the US, it's not such an exciting prospect if you kind of pull, I think, more of America because they're used to it. It's like the embarrassment of riches. And, for so long, American tennis has been at the top, so to speak. And, coming off of having Serena Williams be so dominant for so long, I mean, you take it for granted. And I think she didn't get the flowers she could have gotten and should have gotten, considering what she was able to do and how hard that was to still do it week in and week out. Venus, and who's still out there and who's still playing. I mean, the list goes on. And yet it's kind of like, oh, we're just used to that here in America. What's next? And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand it, but I love the fact that we're having this conversation because it is phenomenal to have 4 of the top 8 women be Americans, and to have them all at the tour finals and, putting themselves in position, and player like Amanda Anisimova pushing her way back into the conversation after being this incredible junior with so, many expectations, and she's finding her own. Coco Gauff, who we take for granted, she's only 21, and
Right.
she is like this old woman, who is, solidly the superstar in this game. And she's only 21. Like, that is not normal. I don't care how many players we have seen do it. It is not a normal thing. And yet we do, I think, take it for granted. And sometimes I've been a victim of it. But when I sit back and I look at these things and I look at the sort of, high level, viewpoint, I mean, golf was number 2 for a good portion,
Yep.
of the year. So American tennis never really went anywhere, but it is back in a big way in terms of where these women have positioned themselves this past season.
Yeah, I mean, and a couple years ago, you had Emma Navarro, who was top 10, and Danielle Collins was top 10. So we're doing extremely well, and and on the upside too, you've got Haley Baptiste. I think that made top 50, top 60 this past year. You've got Kruger that's on the way up, and Lee. There's so many other young Americans that are moving up. Peyton Stearns. So American tennis is on the rise. I think, I run a youth program in Harlem, and these kids are looking up to these young Americans, and they're idolizing them. And I think it's a beautiful thing in this country right now. And so it's not just Sinner and Alcaraz. They're looking at Taylor Fritz and Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton, and Tommy Paul. They're looking at all of our other American players, male and female right now, and I think it says a lot for American tennis right now, both men and women.
And I'm
Right.
glad Kat brought that up about, her running the Harlem Junior Tennis Program. They can see someone. They have these Americans that she can actually, when she's talking to them, she can relate. She has stories. That helps push the young people along. That helps push others along. And that's what I love is that we can actually talk about some American players that are going deep into these tournaments and these Grand Slam tournaments. And I absolutely love it.
Right. Well, look, this has been an amazing conversation, and I know our viewers are going to love this. But I have one final question, and Isaac, I'm throwing you in this one as well.
Okay.
I want to hear from each one of you. Do you feel that a particular player going into 2026 has a major that kind of has their name on it for 2026? Um, I know for me personally, and Isaac, I know we kind of talked about this a little bit before we got on. Even with the coaching change, I think Alcaraz is going to be really, really focused on the Australian. And he may not do anything else the rest of the year, but I think I'm calling Alcaraz to win the Australian. Uh,
I like it. I like the call. I mean, I can't. I don't have an
You
argument for you.
said any major or just the Australian
any
Open?
major, if there's any player for any major you feel like is calling them for 2026, who would that be?
Serena for Wimbledon.
That was a good one. Yeah. Hey, she back in the
I mean,
pool.
I'm just saying, yeah, definitely Carlos for Australia. I mean, it's the one he doesn't have. He's hungry. Definitely, he's hungry for that. For the women for Australia, ah, I think I'm gonna go with Arena for that one.
Okay.
Now, are we just calling a player that's going to step up and win a major, or it has to be Australia?
No. Any of the majors.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Oh, for any of them, for any of
Yeah.
them. Okay.
Anyone you
I
want.
I think Anna Samova's going to get her hands on one. I think
Yeah, Amanda's gonna win
I
a couple
liked
next
what
year.
she was bringing. I liked what she was bringing. I like kind of what we've seen from her emotionally as well, and I just think she's in a good place, and that is a dangerous thing for the rest of the field.
And as you guys
I
can
think I
tell,
think she's gonna get a couple of them.
huh?
I think she's gonna get a couple of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
Chanda.
okay.
I think I'm with Chanda. But I'm more over here with my dog Sochi, who wants the attention. I'm trying to flash her off. I think Sochi's gonna get a grand slam. But anyway, one of the things that I think that I think I'm gonna go way out,
Okay.
way out. Ben Serve,
Mhm.
Shelton, Wimbledon, and he's gonna blow everybody away because he's gonna. It's all gonna come together in the middle of the summer for him.
Okay.
I
All
can't be
right.
mad at that.
I'm
No.
ready for it, Zina. I'm ready, popcorn. Mhm.
It's
There
gonna
you
be a
go.
lot
There
of
you go.
popcorn, but he's gonna go through a little in the beginning, but I say that everything's gonna come together in the middle of the year.
Okay. All right.
No, I agree. I already said he was gonna break top four, and the only way he can do that is win a major. So
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Isaac.
Um, okay, this may be far out as well, but Bryce and I were talking before the call, and he and I are a little bit different as it relates to the Carlos situation. I feel like Carlos is going to be so kind of, hey, I'm on my own and I have all this freedom, even though I think he'll have another coach lined up. I don't think he's going to win the Australian. And I actually think that the French Open,
Mhm.
Roland Garros, I actually think I'm calling Yannick Sinner to win Roland Garros because he's going to exercise those demons based on last year's loss. I just think that he is so ridiculously just, it's amazing to me how he's able to compartmentalize. I mean, and just kind of, okay, I've got all this drama going on, but I'm in the lines now and I'm going to play my brand of tennis and it's going to be excellent. I just feel like going into Roland Garros, he's going to be like, yep, Carlos, you missed your opportunity to get that Australian to get all four. I'm about to do it and I'm about to be the first. So I feel like
But
he's going
who's
to win.
but who's going to coach Center in that?
Well, honestly, Zina, it don't seem like it matters because he be throwing coaches left and right, and people come in and out of his camp, and he's like, "I don't care, I'm gonna win." I mean, think about it. Did he? Who did he did something like a couple weeks before Wimbledon, didn't he? And then he went off and won Wimbledon. I think he let somebody in his camp go, and then he goes into Wimbledon and was like, "Carlos, nobody's scared of you,"
But I'm
and
wondering
smacked him
if
around and
Darren
took
is
it in
coming
four.
back. I'm
Huh?
wondering if Darren is coming back.
Darren's coming back.
I think
That's
Darren's coming back. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Darren,
just saw something that he said, well, maybe I'm not gonna
he's
relinquish.
coming back.
Darren's
Yeah.
coming back.
That's why I was going with who's
He
coaching
ain't
it.
going. He ain't going nowhere.
He just let things die down a little bit. That's what I.
That's all it is.
Well, thank you, three ladies, for just an amazing conversation, for helping us kind of review what happened in this crazy tennis world of ours in 2025. As Isaac said in the beginning, we personally just draw so much inspiration from you and the support that you guys have provided us from really day one. And we love you tremendously for that. So we will see you in 2026. We've gotten all rested up and we're ready to go. But this has been a great show, and we wish you the happiest of holidays and a wonderful 2026.
Thank you, you as
Love you
well. And we are
guys. Love you
so
guys.
thankful for all you
Love
do
you
as
guys.
well and the level you all do it at during the course of the year. And look, you keeping us informed sometimes. I'm doing my cheat sheet, like looking to see what they saying because I missed that story. So thank y'all though for being the professionals and just loving the sport and bringing it to us that way. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Happy
very
to
much.
join you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, on behalf of the podcast, this has been your boy Bryce.
And this is your boy Isaac.
And we are Brothers on Tennis. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.